Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, you're listening to Straight Up with MS and its crazy little circles on MS&Me Radio, brought to you by the MS Global, meaning worldwide, support network. I'm your host, Patty Long, at MS and It for Life. This week has been really crazy, and I've been on the road again. And I went to see my doctor, a doctor who knows MS, who doesn't just say, you got to get used to that, with no answers. He knows MS. And I think that's really an important topic and thing to talk about. So while I'm sitting here thinking all about Willie Nelson, and I've got all these different songs of his scrambling through my head, and I'm sort of like putting my own words with his songs. So, to me, now that I have a good doctor, it's on the road again, and it's this life I live that I love, is having friends and helping to make history with MS. And I always learn every time I'm on the road again. And I did this time as well. And there are doctors out there who know MS. I found mine by going to dinners that were hosted in my area. I signed up with all of the major players in MS drugs and markets, and was invited for all of them. And I would look to see if it was a doctor who I'd already met at one of these. And I honestly went to quite a few of them and was like thinking nobody knew what they were talking about. And all of them had this, same sort of 20 years behind the times, in my opinion, attitude about helping patients with MS. And they weren't really helping. In my case, oh my gosh, was it bad. My doctor that I had, okay, now I get that my case was very rare, but I was having severe acute relapses, exasperations, which I call attacks, like clockwork almost. My first one was on June 22nd, 2012. I went totally blind in one eye. I saw black and white in the other. My legs became so weak they did not hold me. And this was over the course of, like a 2-week period that I was losing this, that, and the other. I couldn't think anymore. And I'd already had my 3 doses of Solumedrol that was originally ordered. And the timing of it all was during the holidays for the U.S., July 4th. And so my doc was on vacation. How wonderful that my doc was on vacation and I didn't know the right words to say when I tried to call for help. And it was getting worse and worse and worse. And with every day, something new joined in to the club. And that was attack number 1, and it began on the 22nd, which was in the middle of the night. It was a Friday night. We were celebrating. I had just completed 2 huge projects for work and was going to have a few days off, where I really wasn't responsible for anything. Not a long time, but, it was nice to get both of these projects done. So the timing that this attack hit me at least was not leaving my coworkers in a lurch to finish my part of an assignment. And we all did it from home. There wasn't, and allowances had already been made for my really poor vision that I had had my entire life. So did I have clues? Maybe, but they were so subtle. And all of a sudden, bam. And it was just one attack after another attack after another attack. My second one, I was on steroids still. And my last one was the day before Thanksgiving. And then, I have another one. And then another one. And then another one. And I was getting 5 doses of Solumedrol every single time. My doc put me on Rebif. Said it was the only one because I had a meningioma, which was much smaller then than when they took it out this past August. But, chances are it would have grown anyways. And it would have been better to not have to go through that attack after attack after attack that just kept on coming. And he wouldn't throw anything out at it except for this one drug. And then he would tell me if I wasn't on it, it would be even worse. When I started having muscle spasms that were really severe, I complained and complained and complained at appointment after appointment, going like every 2 weeks. And my dad was really good about coming and getting me and taking me to appointments as long as I would let him, and a lot of times I wouldn't let him. I was so stubborn. I wanted to do things for myself. And I still do. And yet I still need help with a lot. But in any case, it was so awful. I was asking for help. And he's saying, we'll talk about it next time. Keep a journal. Why do I need to keep a journal? They're daily. They're severe. What more do you need from me? I can tell you exactly where they are. Or if I don't know the exact name of the muscle because I can't think about these things right now and have them come to my mind to say which muscle is which. I can sure show you on one side or the other and say it's right here but on the other side, or it happens in this muscle down here all the time, or it only happens on the right half of my calf, or and it was crazy how it would be like that with sometimes with like half of a muscle that would get cramped. But that's what was happening. And he was saying, keep a journal, keep a journal. We'll talk about it next time. And then I have a really severe attack in my lower back of this type of muscle spasm. It was right on top of the sciatic nerve, which, if you've never heard of the sciatic nerve, it is located at the base of your spine, and it separates into your right leg and your left leg. And that's a really important spot in your back to keep protected. So I was not a happy camper. And when I saw him after that, he threw up his hands and went, "Oh, well, that's MS. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh." That's a crappy doctor, y'all. That's a crappy doctor. So I'd been going to these dinners and looking for a doctor that I figured would not be a crappy doctor. And then I found one. And I forget which drug manufacturer or even which drug it was, but it was one of the new drugs that had just come out on the market. And he was there for that. His name was Dr. English. Dr. Jeffrey English. And he's at the MS Center of Atlanta. Now, I live in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, and I'm at the tip corner of it, actually. But it's about 3 hours to get from here to there, and we usually stop once. Sometimes we stop more often, and then, it's even longer on the back because then we have afternoon traffic in Atlanta. Plus, I need to stop more. My body does not like to be sitting still in one position, and you can't move around a whole lot in a car. And, here it is 4 days later, and I'm still whooped, and I'm still sore from the ride. I mean, it's crazy. But I love my doctor, and I found him at this luncheon for this new drug, and he was up there, and most of the docs, they read the slides. Okay, if it's on the slide, do we really need to read every word on the slide? I couldn't see well, but even I know that you don't need every single word. You need to find the important parts of that slide and spend more time to actually talk to people. And that's exactly what he did. And so he was like, can everybody see the slide? Do I need to adjust anything? And all right. And he pointed out the highlights in each slide as he was presenting the material that he is supposed to present. And then he started asking people if they had questions. And of course, people always have questions. And so people started asking questions. And then he says, "Y'all, I think I'm going to come and sit down with you." And he sat at the table, and all of us were either around that table or one right next to it, and everybody just rearranged to be able to see him face to face and talk to him and have a conversation about MS. And guess what the man said? He was asked, and I don't know who asked him the question or what the question was anymore, but he said, "I don't know. We haven't figured that out yet." And I thought, oh my gosh, here I see in front of me a doctor willing to have a conversation, which is huge, huge, huge. I mean, a conversation, one person speaks and then another person speaks. It's between two or more people, all who have a chance to speak. And he was having a conversation with the entire group of us with all of our wacky questions. And he laughed. He grinned. He had a personality. He wasn't, "Oh, it's my way. I'm not going to tell you the answer. It doesn't matter. We're just going to do this and take that and let's get you a shoebox full." No, he was not that. He was have a conversation, and I could tell that instantly, and I wanted him for my doctor. Now, I found the doctor I want. I know I have a crappy doctor. I've made that decision. I know where I want to go, who I want to see. How in the heck do I get there? So I start asking for referral after referral after referral after referral. And my question is ignored and the man walks out of the room and my appointment is over, and he only gives me 5 minutes or so. And then, I've sat there and waited in his waiting room an hour or more, but I get 5 minutes. And that's crappy too. That is not the way it should be. And it doesn't have to be. There are really excellent MS specialists out there who will take the time to figure you out and help you the best way possible. And it is such an amazing difference. But I could not get a referral. I'd had another couple attacks. I was not any better. I threw out the Rebif because I felt like it was making me sicker, and it was. Not sicker as far as my actual MS, but I had a really ugly side effect, which was depression and symptoms from depression that flip-flopped. At first, it was just sadness. Then it flip-flopped from sadness to anger. And then at some point, it became mostly anger. And so I threw that out. And he scolded me for throwing it out. And I demanded for a referral again. And he quickly wrote out what he was going to do. And he ordered me Copaxone. Now, Copaxone and me didn't get along as far as the needles and things like that, because by this time I had dropped a lot of weight and I had very little coordination. I couldn't push the button in on the injector, and this sort of thing. So Copaxone and me did not get along at all. And so I go back and I tell him that I couldn't do the Copaxone, and I threw it away. He scolds me again, and I got really loud and really redneck on him, and I told him I wanted my blah, 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 blah referral, and I wanted it today. And I can get really, really loud when I want to, especially when I'm that angry, and I'm trying to keep myself calm, y'all, because I can still get that angry thinking about the way this doctor treated me. And when I had called the MS Center of Atlanta to find out how to become a patient, and mind you, I had a really difficult time understanding what people were saying to me, and they had a hard time understanding me and what I was actually saying to them and asking them. So that confusion was kind of both ways, and it was something I didn't know, and I didn't realize that if I was having trouble getting my referral, that they had a way to take care of that for me. And they would have. But at this appointment, I really showed my butt. I showed my butt all the way out into the waiting room area where you make your repeat appointment and you hand in your paperwork. And so I am handing in my paperwork, and I said, is there anything on there about sending a referral for me to the MS Center of Atlanta to see Dr. English, Dr. Jeffrey English? And I'm getting loud, and the girl behind the counter says no. And I said, well, I'm not leaving until I have my referral. And anyways, I ended up showing my butt really good. Still, I didn't get my referral. The little girl said, we got it. He's written it, and we're going to have to, do the paperwork and all this stuff to get it done. A month later, I still haven't got my referral sent in. So I'm getting angrier and angrier about the whole crappy doctor thing. And I went in the next time, again, not taking any meds or any DMT, and I really showed my butt really badly. Sometimes I guess you just got to go redneck on a place to get things done, or it's not going to get done. They wouldn't even give me my own records. And I, to this day, do not have the records of that first 2.5 years from my, from my earlier days with this disease. And when I saw Dr. English, it was the beginning of January in 2015. And he changed my life. He really did. And I am so thankful for him. He didn't have a single record. My referral finally was sent. But that's all it was, this patient wants to come and see you, and here's her referral. And there's my dog, Hachi, barking at something, who knows what, in the woods. Always on guard around me. Hutch. All the birds are stirred up too. Don't know what's there. But in any case, they did not send any records. Nothing. Now, I had some of my MRIs, or maybe I had all of my MRIs that had been done because they were done at a place separate from his office. So I was able to get those. And he and I talked for over an hour during that first appointment. And he looked at my MRIs, and he'd shake his head, and he'd say, and what have you been on? And I'd tell him all the different things that I could remember that I had ever been given, and that at that time when for my first appointment, I had not taken anything for a month. And he said, okay, that's good. He said, that means we can get you started right away. And he did. He started me on Tecfidera. He said he doesn't really like the shots. People don't adhere to the shots. And I wonder why. You know, they're very painful. They're in many different respects. They are very painful one way or another. And people don't want to give themselves shots. And there's lots of pills on the market. And so he put me on Tecfidera. And that's been what is working well for me. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to work well for everybody. But it's worked really well for me. And I get hot with it sometimes. But that's the worst of it. And the heat doesn't last that long. It comes on and goes away. And the trick for me to keep it at bay is to take it on an empty stomach and be sure I take it twice a day, meaning 12 full hours apart. But he did more than just put me on the right DMT. He also sent me to physical therapy. He also talked to me about symptoms and how to find triggers and help yourself stop the symptoms. And, you know, it has made an incredible difference. Now, hopefully, you don't have to go completely redneck on people the way I did. That is no fun. But if you do, know that it is within your right to get that referral. If you live in the United States, it is within your rights. And if your doctor is saying no, and you don't have somebody else who is willing to go over his head, which is the case I was in, then you may have to. You might have to find help to get that referral. And a lot of that help can be found at these MS centers where all they do is handle patients with MS. And they know what they're doing. So I see that my time is up. And I thank you for listening. I'm sorry if I sound really serious. It's kind of a serious topic for me, and it's one that angers me. And I see so many getting treated wrongly, but saying, but I like him. So it's not about whether you like them. It's about whether or not they know MS. And that's what you're looking for. But I need to go. My time is up. It's past up. So before I do, let me thank Erica Lyons Richardson, our founder, and #ChatMS for always being there for us. And you guys, because without y'all, I wouldn't be here. So feel free to contact me anytime. I'm on Twitter at MSENIT for life. I'm MSing it for life. And for right now, we all are. I'd love to hear from you. Stay positive. Love yourself. And find a good MS doc. Bye now.